There are days when silence around the NovaCare complex speaks louder than any press conference. And when it comes to the Philadelphia Eagles and Howie Roseman, that silence usually means something big is coming. The morning began quietly. The sun had barely risen over the cloudy Philadelphia sky, and the team's social media accounts were unusually calm. But then, one short, cold message appeared. The kind of sentence that can shake an entire fan base. The Eagles announced multiple roster moves. From that moment on, calm turned into chaos. Howie Roseman, the tireless architect of one of the most aggressive rosters in football, had pulled the trigger again, and this time, his decisions left fans wondering what was really happening inside the Eagles' locker room. Within just a few hours, the Eagles released two players, linebacker Patrick Johnson and wide receiver Terrace Marshall, to make room for something much bigger. While headlines focused on the recent trades for cornerback Jair Alexander from the Ravens and edge rusher Jalen Phillips from the Dolphins, another quieter story was developing. Among all the transactions, one name suddenly reappeared: Nolan Smith. The young edge rusher, who hadn't played since week 3 due to a triceps injury, had his 21-day return window officially open. But in order for Smith to come back, someone had to go. And that's when Patrick Johnson's name showed up on the release list. The decision caught many people off guard. Johnson wasn't a star, but he was dependable. A rotational linebacker who knew his role and always brought energy. Still, Howie Roseman rarely operates out of sentiment. He acts out of need. And right now, that need was clear: strengthen the defensive front and bring back the identity that made Philadelphia champion. These moves made it clear that Roseman has a specific plan: to rebuild the Eagles' defensive line into the same terrifying force that dismantled Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs in Super Bowl LIX when the Eagles stormed to a 40-22 victory. But that once-feared pass rush had lost some of its bite. Injuries and unexpected retirements left visible gaps. First came Zadarius Smith's sudden decision to walk away from football. Then, Brandon Graham, the heartbeat of the franchise, came out of retirement to help stabilize things. Even so, the numbers told the truth. The Eagles ranked just 26th in the NFL in sacks, tied with the Raiders with only 16 total. For a team built on pressure, that was a crisis. Howie heard it loud and clear. When it comes to the defensive line, Roseman is obsessed, and for good reason. He's built championship teams around dominant fronts before, and he believes games are won there. So after Zadarius retired, he went to work again. First, he convinced Graham to return. Then, he spent a valuable third-round pick to bring in Jalen Phillips, a powerful and explosive edge rusher who already has 3 sacks this season. Phillips' arrival didn't just fill a hole, it shifted the entire rotation. The competition for snaps suddenly got fierce, and Patrick Johnson, reliable as he was, became expendable. Johnson leaves Philadelphia with 1 sack and 5 tackles in 7 games this year. Solid numbers, but not enough to hold a spot in a unit now overflowing with firepower. The Eagles' defensive line now includes Phillips, Nolan Smith, Brandon Graham, Moro Ojomo, Jordan Davis, Jalen Carter, and Jalix Hunt. A mix of veterans and young stars that could once again dominate the trenches. Howie Roseman explained his reasoning to NBC Sports Philadelphia. When you look at that group, it's hard not to get excited. When you can rotate those guys, keep them fresh, and combine all that talent, the possibilities are endless. That's how you build a defensive line that controls game, especially when you mix that with the power we have inside. The philosophy is simple: depth equals destruction. And now, with Nolan Smith set to return, the Eagles might have all the pieces back in place to bring their defensive identity roaring to life again. Smith hasn't played since week 3 against the Rams, when he tore a triceps muscle, the kind of injury that can sideline a player for months. But reports from practice this week were promising. He looks fast, explosive, and ready. Philadelphia now has 21 days to activate him, but optimism inside the building suggests he could suit up as early as next week against the Green Bay Packers. It's likely Smith will be on a snap count at first. After all, Phillips plays on the same side, but even limited reps from Smith could be the spark this defense needs. This is the same player who recorded 6.5 sacks last regular season and added 4 more during the playoff run. His energy is contagious. His motor doesn't stop. And after watching from the sidelines for so long, you can bet he'll be hungry when his number is called again. Meanwhile, the Eagles sit at 6 wins and 2 losses, leading the NFC East. But every fan in Philadelphia knows the truth. November is when contenders are separated from pretenders. After a much-needed bye week, the Birds will head to Lambeau Field for Monday Night Football to face the 5-2-1 Green Bay Packers. That could be the perfect stage for Philadelphia's revamped defense to make a statement. Think about it. Jair Alexander now locked into the secondary, Jalen Phillips crashing off the edge, and Nolan Smith returning just in time to add speed and fire. If everything comes together, this could be the turning point of the season. The moment when the Eagles stop being the defending champion and start looking like the next dynasty. Because one thing is certain, Howie Roseman isn't done. He never is. He's rebuilt the trenches, reshaped the roster, and reignited the hunger in a locker room that refuses to settle. And now, as the team prepares for another primetime battle, the message across Philadelphia is clear. The Eagles are loading up again. And this time, they're not just defending a title. They're coming for another one. In the end, that's what defines this city. You can doubt them, you can criticize their moves, but you can never count them out. Because when you play in Philadelphia, you don't just wear the wing, you earn them. And right now, with a rebuilt front line and the return of Nolan Smith on the horizon, the Eagles are ready to fly again.